Hello friends, I am Shantanu, your coach, and now we are going to cover the Environment Protection Act 1986. First, let's see the introduction of this act. As you must be aware, the government took the first measure to counter the pollution problem by passing a Water Act. But this Water Act, which was passed in 1974, it was a total failure of the government. It was a total flop show. If you have any doubt whether it was a successful venture or not, you have to see the Ganga river. Ganga is still very much polluted river in spite of this Water Act. After that, government passed Air Act. Now, Air Act was passed in 1981 to control the air pollution. This was also a total failure on the part of the government, because if you have any doubt, you can check the Delhi. The pollution of Delhi, air pollution is tremendous. Even the Green Tribunal has passed certain orders for that. So both these acts passed by the government in 1974 and 81, these were total failure on the part of the government. So there was a need to make another law. So government passed Environment Protection Act after that, and this Environment Protection Act was passed with a hope that it will cover both water, air, and other aspect of the environment as well. Now let's see the object of this act. Object is to protect the environment. Now environment is a broader term, broader than the water and air, because it includes both as well as it includes the land and etc. We will see the definition of environment later on in detail. Second, now this act is formed to regulate the discharge and handling of hazardous substance. What is hazardous substance? We will again see the definition. As you already remember, in the Water Act, we see that any discharge, if any discharge is taking place into the river, which is polluting the river, then Water Act contained the provision. Similar provisions are included here also to regulate the discharge and handling of hazardous substance. Then another objective is speedy response to the accident which threaten the environment. तो अगर कोई एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है जिसकी वजह से एनवायरमेंट pollution का खतरा आ जाता है, so in that case there will be a speedy response provided under this act. Now also to punish those people, there is a deterrent punishment which is prescribed for those people who risk the human environment, safety and health, public health. तो ऐसे लोगों के लिए एक स्ट्रिक्ट पनिशमेंट भी इस एक्ट में प्रोवाइड किया गया है. Now let's see what are the main provisions of this act. We can study these main provision into two parts. First, laying down the standards. First, इसमें जो main काम रहेगा, laying down the standards for quality of environment and its various aspect. तो environment जो है उसकी quality कैसी होनी चाहिए, इसके लिए standard prescribe किए गए हैं इस act में. And second, standards for emission और डिस्चार्ज ऑफ एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट. तो एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट जो भी डिस्चार्ज करते हैं उसका जो स्टैंडर्ड है वो कितना, किस लिमिट तक एमिशन कर सकते हैं या डिस्चार्ज कर सकते हैं एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट का, दैट इज ऑल्सो, फॉर दैट ऑल्सो द स्टैंडर्ड्स हैव बीन फिक्स्ड अंडर दिस एक्ट. Another part of this act provides for the restriction of areas in which any industry shall not be carried out or shall be carried out is subject to certain restriction. तो इस एक्ट में रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर सकते हैं एरियाज को. फॉर एग्जांपल, in this area there will be no industries, and in this area there can be industries but with subject to certain restriction. These areas can be decided by the government under this act, so as to limit the exposure of industries and environmental pollutant to certain areas. Now let's see the important definitions which are given under this act. Again, I am saying important because directly these are asked in the exams. Now the first definition is given under section 2A, that is environment. Broad term hai environment. It includes, so it's an inclusive definition. Environment includes water, air and land and the interrelationship. ये word याद रखना है आपको. water, air, land and the interrelationship which exist among and between water, air, land, and human beings, other living creatures, plants, microorganism, and property. Now we will see two more definitions under this act. First is environmental pollutant and then environmental pollution. So first we will see environmental pollutant, which is described under section 2b. It means any solid, liquid, gaseous substance. So as we are already aware about the pollutant definition, it includes solid, liquid or gaseous substance प्रेजेंट इन सच कॉन्सेंट्रेशन, यानी ये इतनी लिमिट में है, इतने कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इसका इतना है कि इट मे और टेंड टू बी इंजीरियस टू द एनवायरमेंट. सो प्रेजेंट ऑफ सॉलिड, लिक्विड और गैसियस सब्सटेंस पर से इज नॉट एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट, बट इफ इट्स डेंसिटी इज ऑफ सच अ नेचर, इतना डेंस है, इतना कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इसका इतना है कि it may tend to injure the environment, then only it will be treated as environmental pollutant. Now, if we see the definition environmental pollution, it simply says that it means presence of environmental pollutant in the environment, means environmental pollution. So you have to remember this keyword presence. In case of environmental pollution, you just have to write presence of environmental pollutant in the environment means environmental pollution. Now let's see the definition of handling, which is given under section 2d. It is very complicated, so try to understand how to write this. It starts with in relation. Handling means in relation to any substance. तो किसी substance की handling करेंगे आप. So in relation to any substance, handling means manufacture, processing, treatment, package, storage, transportation, use, collection, destruction, conversion, offering for sale, transfer or the like of such substance will be treated as handling. So you have to remember that it start with in relation to any substance and with of such substance. And in the middle you have to write all the keywords. अगर आपको सब याद नहीं भी रहते हैं तो भी आप कुछ लिख सकते हैं and last में etc लगा सकते हैं. Now let's see the definition of hazardous substance. बहुत बार पूछा गया है, इसको भी एग्जाम में इंपॉर्टेंट है. It means any substance or preparation. So it start with any substance or it may be a preparation which by reason of its, ये तीन keywords याद रखना पड़ेंगे hazardous substance के केस में, by reason of its chemical or physiochemical properties or handling is liable to cause harm to human beings, other living creature or microorganism, or cause harm to plant or property, or cause harm to the environment in general, then such substance or preparation will be treated as hazardous substance. Now let's see the powers of central government which is given under this act to the central government. Remember, वाटर एक्ट जो हमने पढ़ा है एंड एयर एक्ट जो पढ़ा है, उसमें जो पावर्स थी वो सब पावर्स थी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के पास, बट एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट में पावर्स आर विद द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. नाउ लेट्स सी द फर्स्ट पावर ऑफ द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अंडर दिस एक्ट, दैट इज पावर टू इशू डायरेक्शन अंडर सेक्शन 5. सो एज पर दिस सेक्शन, the central government has got power to issue direction and guidelines to any person, officer or authority, and such person, officer or authority will be bound by such direction and guidelines which will be issued by central government to it. The direction issued by the central government may include direction for closure, prohibition or regulation of any industry, operation or process. तो हमने इसका पहले भी देखा एयर एक्ट में कि क्लोज करने की, इंडस्ट्री को क्लोज कीजिए, ये डायरेक्शन भी दे सकती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, या फिर प्रोहिबिट कर सकती है इंडस्ट्री को सर्टेन एरियाज में, और इट कैन रेगुलेट द इंडस्ट्री ऑपरेशन और प्रोसेस बाय इशूइंग द डायरेक्शंस और गाइडलाइंस. फर्दर द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट मे इशू डायरेक्शंस और गाइडलाइन for stoppage or regulation of supply of electricity, water or any other services to such industry, operation or process. So it is very important power in the hands of government. By using this power, central government can easily implement the provisions of this act. Another power given to central government is to power to make rules, which is given under section 6. For effective implementation of any act, it is very necessary that rules should also be issued for the implementation of that act. So central government can issue or make the rules for following purposes. So first, it can make the rules for standard of quality of air, water or soil for various areas and various purpose. अलग अलग areas में वो different standard fix कर सकती है quality of air, water और soil के. Similarly, अलग अलग purpose के लिए अलग अलग standard भी fix कर सकती है central government. Next is make the rules for maximum allowable concentration of various environmental pollutant for different areas. तो इस specific areas में एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट कितना हो सकता है, मैक्सिमम लिमिट इसकी क्या हो सकती है, इट कैन बी फिक्स्ड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बाय इशू ऑफ रूल्स. फर्दर, द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कैन मेक द रूल्स डिस्क्राइबिंग द प्रोसीजर्स एंड सेफगार्ड फॉर हैंडलिंग ऑफ हजार्डस सब्सटेंस. तो कोई भी हजार्डस सब्सटेंस है वो अगर हैंडल हो रहा है कहीं पर इंडस्ट्री में या प्रोसेस में, so what is the procedure and safeguard the industry or person will have to follow for handling of such hazardous substance? For this also the central government can prescribe the rules. Further, the central government also make the rules for total prohibition or restriction of handling of hazardous substance in different areas. तो ऐसे areas prescribe कर सकती है government where it is totally prohibited to handle the hazardous substance. That is, handling of hazardous substance will be totally banned in certain areas, or it can be handled in that area subject to certain restrictions. Further, the central government has got power to make rules restricting the location of different industries or operations or processes in different area. तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड कर सकती है किस एरिया में कौन सी इंडस्ट्री लग सकती है या कौन से ऑपरेशंस या प्रोसेसेस कैरी ऑन कर सकते हैं. अगेन द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कैन मेक द रूल्स फॉर प्रोसीजर एंड सेफगार्ड फॉर प्रिवेंशन ऑफ एक्सीडेंट. एक्सीडेंट को कैसे रोका जाएगा इसके लिए भी रूल्स बना सकती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, एंड विच मे कॉज ऐसे एक्सीडेंट विच मे कॉज एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूशन, एंड also it can frame rules for providing remedial measures. अगर कहीं पे एक्सीडेंट हो जाता है, so what will be the measures it should take and what will be the relief it should provide. For that also the central government can frame the rules. Now let's see the power of entry and inspection. These powers are almost same as we have studied in the Water Act, but the only difference is here the central government has got power to empower any person to enter at all reasonable time or places for the following purpose: to perform the functions which are given under this act, or to determine direction or conditions whatever imposed by the government, whether these are complied with or not, and to examine and test any equipment, industrial plant, document, register. Now the next power is power of search and seizure. This is also similar to what we have studied in the Water Act. The only difference is here the power is with the central government to authorize any person for search and seizure, and in Water Act it was the power with the state government. Next power is power to take samples and analyze the same. This is given under section 11. This is also similar to Water Act, but this is very important, so I am again covering this power to take sample. See here the central government can authorize any person. किसी भी person को central government authorize कर सकती है to take the samples. अब ये samples किसके लेगा? Air, water, soil और any other substance उसके ये sample ले सकता है from any factory premises. कोई factory है, कोई premises है या कोई भी place है, वहां जाके ये जो authorized person है वो sample collect कर सकता है. And before taking the sample, whenever this person will go to collect the sample, he will have to फॉलो द प्रिस्क्राइब्ड प्रोसीजर। और इसका जो प्रोसीजर है सैंपलिंग का, ये आपको लिख के आना है एग्जाम में। फर्स्ट, दिस पर्सन विल इशू द नोटिस। सबसे पहले ये नोटिस इशू करेगा टू द ऑक्यूपायर ऑफ दैट प्लेस। जो भी ऑक्यूपायर है उस प्लेस का जहां से इसको सैंपल कलेक्ट करना है, ही विल सर्व अ नोटिस दैट आई वांट टू कलेक्ट द सैंपल्स। सैंपल शैल बी taken and sealed. So whenever he will go to collect the sample will be taken and it will be put into the container and the container will be sealed. इसको seal कर लिया जाएगा and both shall sign on the container. तो ये जो sample collect कर रहा है, he will also sign as well as the occupier of that place will also sign on that container. सैंपल शैल बी टेकन इन सफिशिएंट क्वांटिटी। तो इतनी क्वांटिटी में लेना है कि वो एनालिसिस के लिए इनफ हो। एंड इट विल बी डिवाइडेड इनटू 2 पार्ट्स। तो ये जो सैंपल्स रहेंगे इसको 2 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड करना है, पार्ट 1 एंड पार्ट 2। बोथ द पार्ट विल बी सील्ड एंड मार्क्ड सेपरेटली। सभी के ऊपर सील होगी और मार्किंग होगा। 1 पार्ट विल बी हैंडेड ओवर टू द ऑक्यूपायर। इसमें से एक पार्ट जो रहेगा वो ऑक्यूपायर को दे दिया जाएगा and the second part will be given to environmental laboratory for its report, and this report given by the laboratory will be admissible as evidence in the court of law. Now let's see the provision about the environmental laboratory. As per section 12, central government is empowered to establish one or more environmental laboratory. एक या उससे ज्यादा एनवायरमेंटल लेबोरेटरी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एस्टेब्लिश कर सकती है अगर उसके पास बजट है तो। अदरवाइज इट कैन रिकॉग्नाइज वन और मोर लेबोरेटरीज और इंस्टीट्यूट। जो एग्जिस्टिंग लेबोरेटरीज है या फिर इंस्टीट्यूट है उनको वो रिकॉग्नाइज कर सकती है एज ए एनवायरमेंटल लेबोरेटरीज टू कैरी आउट सर्टेन फंक्शन अंडर दिस एक्ट। Now let's see what functions these environmental laboratories will discharge. एक बार जब establish हो जाएगी environmental laboratories तो वो क्या क्या करेंगी? तो as per this act, these environmental laboratories will standardize the method for sampling and analysis of various types of environmental pollutant. तो जो भी environmental pollutants रहेंगे, अलग अलग तरह के एनवायरमेंटल पॉल्यूटेंट्स हो सकते हैं और उनकी सैंपलिंग कैसे होगी और उसका एनालिसिस कैसे होगा। हाउ दीज विल बी सैंपल्स विल बी कलेक्टेड एंड हाउ दीज विल बी एनालाइज्ड। फॉर दिस पर्पस द लेबोरेटरीज विल develop some sort of methods for sampling and analysis of various environmental pollutants. Second function is to analyze the sample. Whatever samples will be sent to the laboratory, environmental laboratories, these laboratories will analyze those samples and will send the analysis report to the government. Next is to carry out such investigation. The environmental laboratories will carry out the investigation also to standardize the quality of environment. तो environment की quality क्या होनी चाहिए उसके लिए जो standards है वो भी advise करेगी environmental laboratories. साथ ही साथ what will be the standards for discharge of pollutant. तो जो भी discharge होता है pollutant का, environmental pollutant का environment में, वो discharge किस लिमिट तक होना चाहिए. This will also be advised by environmental laboratory to the central government to monitor and enforce these standards. And then to send the periodical report. तो periodically ये laboratories अपनी activities जो भी करती है उसकी report देगी central government को time to time, and it will also discharge such other function as may be given or assigned to it by the central government from time to time. Now we are going to discuss the most important question of this chapter, that is environmental audit. अभी तक आपने जो सुना होगा वो बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स का ऑडिट सुना होगा, बट एनवायरनमेंट का प्रॉब्लम इतना बढ़ गया है कि दे हैव टू कम अप विद द एनवायरमेंटल ऑडिट. This environmental audit is prescribed under rule number 14 of the Environment Protection Rule 1986. ये रूल भी लिखना है एग्जाम में आपको. Rule 14 Environmental Protection Rules 1986 provide for submission of environmental audit report. तो एक environmental audit report submit करनी पड़ेगी. Now, who is going to submit this environmental audit report? Let's see the applicability. Accordingly, every person, try to listen carefully, every person carrying on any industry, operation or process requiring consent under Water Act or consent under Air Act or consent under both these acts, or which requires authorization under hazardous waste rules. तो इसका मतलब है if any person is carrying on any industry, operation or process, and if these industries, operation or process require any consent or authorization under water, air or hazardous waste rules, then only this person will have to submit the environmental audit report. Now the question is when he will submit this environmental audit report. So rules suggest that this environmental audit report will be submitted in form 5. You have to write this also, form number 5 as prescribed under these rules for every financial year ending on 31st March every year. So if this is a year and it is ending on 31st of March, then for this year, this person will require to submit the environmental audit report on or before 15th of May to the concerned State Pollution Control Board. So this environmental audit report will be submitted on or before 15th of May to the concerned State Pollution Control Board. Now let's see the second most important question of this chapter, that is environmental impact assessment notification. This notification was issued by the central government in 1994. 1994 में ये notification issue किया था, and this notification was issued for the development project. So as per this notification, 29 highly polluting industries were identified. 29 industries को identify किया था इस notification में, and as per this notification, where the clearance from the central government is required, अगर central government का clearance अगर लगता है किसी industry को for setting up the industry or expanding that unit, तो ऐसे केस में Impact Assessment Agency will assess the project report and environmental impact of that project. तो जब जब इंडस्ट्रीज सेटअप करने में या फिर उस इंडस्ट्रीज को एक्सपांड करने में जब जब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल लगेगा, कौन सी इंडस्ट्रीज विच आर notified under the notification, that is which is covered under 29 highly polluting इंडस्ट्रीज, तो इन्हीं के ऊपर ये लगेगा. तो अगर इनको सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल लगता है तो ऐसे केस में एक इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट एजेंसी रहेगी. दैट एजेंसी विल असेस द प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट. प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट बना के देनी होगी इस इंडस्ट्री को, जो भी ओनर है या पर्सन है, ही विल सबमिट द प्रोजेक्ट रिपोर्ट to agency, impact assessment agency. That agency will consider this project report as well as it will also evaluate the impact of this project on the environment. तो environment पे इस project का क्या impact होगा, ये भी ये impact assessment agency will evaluate. Further, you have to remember that projects like nuclear power, highways, cement, etc., which require central government clearance only if, इनके ऊपर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का क्लियरेंस तभी लगेगा if the investment is more than 50 करोड़. तो यहाँ पे एक लिमिट है मॉनेटरी, 50 करोड़ से ज्यादा का है आपका अगर प्रोजेक्ट, तो ही सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल या क्लियरेंस लगेगा इन केस ऑफ न्यूक्लियर पावर, हाईवे, सीमेंट्स. बट in other projects like pesticides, mining, distilleries, etc., in cases में तो central government का approval is mandatory. That is, the clearance from central government is mandatory irrespective of the amount invested in the project. That is, for pesticide, mining, distilleries, central government clearance is mandatory. Now we will see how to get the clearance of project from the environmental angle. तो environmental angle का जो clearance रहता है, environmental clearance short, how to get this? This is the procedure prescribed. Any person who desire to undertake any project in any part of India, कहीं पर भी वो अगर कोई project लगाना चाहता है, और he want the expansion or modernization of existing projects which are listed in the schedule 1 of the Environment Protection Act 1986. तो नया प्रोजेक्ट आपको एस्टेब्लिश करना हो या एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट का एक्सपांशन या मॉडर्नाइजेशन करना हो, which project which is described under schedule 1 of the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Now for this clearance, the person should submit the application to the Secretary of Ministry of Environment and Forest, New Delhi. And this application should be in the form which is prescribed under Schedule 2 of this Act. Along with the application, he will also have to attach the project report. और इस project report में क्या होना चाहिए? The environmental impact statement होना चाहिए एक, and दूसरा environment management plan. It means how your project will impact the environment. This should be given in the form of statement, and also you have to give the management plan, how you will take care of the environment even after going for this project. These two things you have to attach along with the application. Once you submit the application, this application will be evaluated and assessed by the Impact Assessment Agency. तो जो agency है वो इसको evaluate करेगी application को, and after the evaluation of the application, this agency will give its recommendation to the government based on the technical assessment of the documents and relevant data. And if you have to remember carefully, question case law भी आ सकता है, if no comments were received from the agency, अगर agency ने कोई जवाब नहीं दिया है, अपनी कोई recommendation नहीं दी है, then it will be assumed that this agency has approved that project. Now, as far as offense by company, the provisions of offense by companies which are given under section 16, these are similar provisions which we have studied under the Water Act. So you can refer the Water Act for this purpose. Now let's see the provisions related to offense by government department. अगर कोई government department कोई offense करता है under the Environmental Protection Act, then who will be responsible? So as per this act, the head of the department, that is the HOD, will be primarily responsible for the offense committed by the government department. However, he can escape the liability. He can escape the liability which is prescribed under this act for offense if he proves that this offense was committed without his knowledge, or he has exercised the due diligence to prevent the commission. यानी या तो वो ऑफेंस जो हुआ है वो इस पर्सन के एचओडी के नॉलेज में ही नहीं है, और अगर ये पता था उसको कि इस तरह का ऑफेंस होने वाला है तो ही हैज टेकन ड्यू डिलिजेंस. इसका मतलब उसने वो सारी प्रिकॉशंस ली थी, सावधानी ली थी कि वो ऑफेंस ना हो, उसके बाद भी ये ऑफेंस हो गया. तो ऐसे केस में दिस पर्सन will not be responsible or liable under this act. Further, this provision says that apart from HOD, if any other officer of the government department is party to the offense, suppose he has given the consent to that offense, or with his convenience or because of his negligence the offense was committed, then such other officer will also be liable under this act. Now let's see the penalty provisions which are prescribed under this act, which is given under section 15 of this act. This section says that if any person makes any contravention of the act, rules or order or direction which are issued under this act, then such person will be liable for the imprisonment up to 5 ईयर, यानी मैक्सिमम 5 साल की जेल हो सकती है और फाइन लग सकता है मैक्सिमम 1 लाख रुपीस का, और बोथ जेल भी और फाइन भी। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस, इफ द ऑफेंस इज कंटिन्यूइंग वन, यानी ऑफेंस का नेचर अगर कंटिन्यू नेचर का ऑफेंस है, देन देयर विल बी एडिशनल फाइन ऑफ 5,000 रुपीज एवरी डे टिल द ऑफेंस इज कंटिन्यू। And if such offense is continued beyond a period of 1 year, यानी 1 साल से भी ज्यादा का समय हो गया है, the person is continuing the committing that offense, then he shall be sentenced to imprisonment up to 7 years, यानी 5 साल से बढ़ा के सजा उसकी हो सकती है 7 years तक की।